Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 1 Hour, One Brain Cell. I am joined today by my co host, Jordan, who does not like ketchup on her hot dogs.
That's it? That's the slander you're coming at me with?
Yep, yep.
I mean, it's not necessary. I just don't like hot dogs. I don't know.
I
And I
wasn't
am
wrong.
joined I'm no I guess you're not wrong. I'm joined by Richie, who is the person most likely to listen to Mamma Mia at 95 volume, of anybody that I've ever met.
That's the most inside joke we'll ever have. Should we go into explaining why, or should we just let it lie? I kind of just want to let it lie and let people imagine for themselves
Yeah,
what
let's leave a little mystery on it.
Oh, there is a hint in the open. I'll give people that. I'll give people that.
That's true.
Okay, so here's what we got coming up on this show across the next hour. Now, I promise, or at least we're gonna try and be under an hour this time. Our first two episodes were an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes. So this episode, which is going to be about etiquette for the most part, on planes, at the airport, and at concerts, something that both of us frequent very often. That's going to be our overarching theme of the show today. Red flags, green flags included. And then later on, we're going to begin our weekly segment called Stump Your Co host, where we try and learn a little bit more about each other across the hour. And maybe you'll learn something about us as well. So, Jordan, let's kick it off. Let's dive right in. Dive right in. You are the aficionado when it comes to air travel amongst the two of us. Almost never fly. I don't travel very often, so I don't have a lot of experience here. But you lot more so than I do. So let's dive right in. Let's get into some of the things that tick you off when it comes to having to go to the airport and slash or airplanes.
Let's do it. I Can I say, like, I already feel backed into a corner because this whole episode is about proper etiquette. And we were like, hey, by the way, our first two episodes went over on time. I'm like, wait. So, in order to be fully proper etiquette, we have to keep this to 1 hour, which
Mm-hmm.
is rough given that my brain does like back handsprings around the topic pretty often. Um I'll defend my case by saying that I don't necessarily like I fly a lot out of necessity, and it's not even like a lot. Like, I'm in no way a frequent flyer. I use my parents' miles to book things. Which
Mm-hmm.
shout out to them. I would like to start as almost always by airing a grievance because we ran a poll on Twitter a little while ago. I ran a poll on Twitter a little while ago because you and I are beefing over prime seating location on an
Mm-hmm.
airplane.
Yes.
And with the assumption that this is free boarding, like Southwest, like there's no assigned seats, where do you choose to sit on the airplane, Richard?
I am strictly a back of the plane guy.
Can you explain your take there? Because I don't get it.
So here, I generally will do this, which is especially on Southwest. Like, I don't care when I get on the plane, so I don't like early boarding for Southwest because then you're just sitting on the plane for 30 minutes while everybody else gets on board. So that's kind of the preface for why. Like, I am generally in further back in boarding because I am that guy that always forgets to um like log in for a
To check
flight
in.
24 to check
Okay.
in.
All right. So
So
it's your fault.
yeah, exactly. If I do, and
Okay.
then even if I do have like an A boarding pass, always go to the back because if it is not a fully packed flight, that's there's not going to be as many people in the back, so you have a little bit more like free space to like roam around, and then more often than not, there's going to be more ability to get an aisle seat or a window seat in the back of the plane, and and it doesn't bother me having to get off the plane first because it saves you like 10 minutes or whatever. Like, that's perfectly fine. I'm a very patient guy. I can hang out in the back of the plane and just wait. So
I'm waving a red flag at Richie
back
right
of the
now for
plane, 9
our
times out of
audio
10 for
listeners.
me.
No, not back of the plane. Not back of the plane. Not the back. Not the back. Not the back and next to a window. And I will tell you why. Hold on, I feel very strongly about this. Also, patience is not one of my virtues, so this like comes from a place
I'm
of
gonna go
being an
full
impatient
screen on here.
person.
Full screen on
Okay.
you.
All right, let's
There
go.
we go.
This comes from a place of impatience, not the back, because one, if you go to the back, like sure, I guess, and I guess like boarding early, you do have to sit on the plane for a little bit, but if you go to the back, you're the last person to get off. And getting off is worse than sitting there waiting for other people to get on, if that makes sense. Like waiting for other people to get on, it's a streamlined process. People are moving, they're putting their things up overhead, they're like getting ready to go. There's like something to look forward to. When everybody stands up when the flight lands and they're like, I'm gonna get off. No, you're not. You're in the back of the plane. You're not going anywhere. You're gonna be here for like at least a half an hour. Second thing, next to a window, not the aisle. Now this is controversial, but here's my stance on this. You mean to tell me that you would sacrifice opening the window, seeing the world from like 30,000 feet just to sit closer to the bathroom? Like, no. So, pee before you get on the flight and enjoy the view, dingus. Sit next to the window, not in the back.
Time out for a second.
No timeout.
This is why I don't. This is why I don't ever like. I don't drink a lot of water on flights or anything because it stresses me out. Because, as you know, I have the world's smallest bladder. Maybe too much information on the show for you, everybody, but I have to pee all the time, and so
It's a skill issue.
I try to dehydrate myself before I get on the plane so I don't have to go pee. Yeah. And second point, I am a tall person, as we've discussed on the show already. And so having the aisle seat, I can move my left or right leg depending on where I'm sitting, and I can move it into the aisle so I can give myself more room with my legs because it drives me crazy. Like sometimes, being crunched up on a window seat, which is nice for sleeping. I will give you that.
I'm sure the flight attendants love when you put your leg in the aisle. They're like, "Oh my god, this guy again."
2 minutes for tripping.
Yeah, literally, you're gonna take somebody down, or they're gonna run you over with that really sharp like metal cart that they push through the aisle with all the food and drinks on it. They're like, 32A has his damn leg in the aisle again. Can we just like accelerate? Like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see you there.
Sorry, I cut you off. So you were talking about sitting on the window. You were talking about
Window. Like this is maybe thinking too far into it, but like think about all the people like I don't want to call up the Wright brothers, but I'm going to call up the Wright brothers here. Like if you've never seen the world from above, right? This is a view that people would kill for. Like years and years ago, like you've never seen the world from the clouds, you're going to pass that up to sit closer to the bathroom. Red flag. Absolutely not. Can't trust your judgment. And I'm going to tell you about, I think I've told you about this story, but this is my plain horror story about getting stuck in the back on the aisle this summer. So your preferred seat was actually my living waking nightmare. Absolute dread. I was it's true. I was visiting my friend Mac, who I know is listening. She listened to the first episode, so hello. And we got ground held in two separate locations on the way to New York where we were going. I connected and then we got diverted and grounded because of weather. And I had a really bad, I guess, relative, but I had a bad boarding pass. And so I had to go to the back to have room to like put my carry-on bag up above. And I decided I was going to sit in the aisle for whatever reason. That's not usually me. I'm not usually that guy, but I was like, who knows? Like, I'm in a silly, goofy mood. I'm going to sit on the aisle. And I got stuck at the back next to this family of 5, right? Which there are 3 people in a row. So it was like
Hmm.
those three. It was like those three next to me, and then they had to overflow two people into my row. And it was these two kids, and they were like mostly fine the whole time, but didn't realize until later, until there was like turbulence, that one of the kids definitely had motion sickness, and the parents were like trying to pass Dramamine like across the aisle over to her, and I was like on the aisle, so I had to like facilitate the transfer.
Oh no.
And I was like, "Please don't throw up, please don't throw up, please don't throw up." And like the whole time it was so horrifying, and this kid was so sick the whole time, and I like thought that I was gonna witness a biohazard. And then we all got stuck. So we all got stuck on the ground, got grounded, and they started letting people off the plane, which like I don't know how much you travel, but like if you're stalled in a ground hold long enough that they start letting people off the plane, it's a really, really bad sign. They don't usually let people off unless it's like dire, unless the situation is dire. So they started letting people off because they were like, everybody has to pee, everybody's hungry, we've been here for such a long time. And people like bolted. Like there were so few of us that like sat on the plane still, and we were like, we're gonna stick it out. We're like those obstinate old people, like on our porches, like watching the storm come in. It's like, I ain't leaving. Um, we were all in our seats. It was like,
I would have
whatever.
left. I would have left immediately.
No shot. Like we're like, we've already been here. We're staking our claim. But they started letting people back off. But the asterisk was like, if we're not back when we call you, which will be like 10 minutes before we leave, we're gonna like make an announcement like over the airport like PA thing. If you're not back when we call you, we're peacing out and you're stuck here. And so it was like, oh,
That would freak me out. Because if
yeah.
I
So
missed that, yes.
and I think that's why a lot of people stayed, because we didn't. It was like an indeterminate amount of time. We didn't know how long we were necessarily going to be there. So it was like we could be here for 15 minutes, and or we could be here for 45 minutes or like whatever the deal is. So people started getting off, and it was like horrifying. And the plane was really hot because it was the summer. We were just parked and landed. The flight attendants were like passing around water to those of us like cranky old folks that stayed and like sat there the whole time. The pilot's like, "Are we good on temperature?" And everyone's like, "No," from the back. And honestly, that was like the worst experience of my life. And we were supposed to land within 15 minutes of each other, my friend and I, and she had to wait for me for like 2 hours at LaGuardia baggage claim because I got stuck in Philadelphia, I think, and she got stuck in Baltimore.
Hmm.
And it was a nightmare experience. So I want to say no thanks for that. And that has given me enough trauma that I will not go back on my viewpoint on that.
Yeah, because I would never. There's no way in hell I would have stayed on that plane. I would have gone up and I would have left, and I would have, because I get super antsy because I hate sitting down. Like I for long periods of time, like my legs will fall asleep and whatnot. So like I was just like, I need to leave. Bye, see ya. I
That's
couldn't stay on the
that's
plane that long. That's
that's
why
so
I hate
fair.
flying. Like the only time I really hate flying if it's a super long flight, and generally I my flights I take aren't very long. They're about 2 hours or less, basically, right? 2 hours to Denver, 2.5 hours to Seattle, whatever, an hour and a half to LA. Those are like
Sure.
my general flight times, which is perfect. Anything longer than that, I think would drive me nuts because like I could not, especially on like Frontier. This is my
Oh, because your legs are in the seat in front of you if you fly Frontier.
yeah, basically, like that's
Yeah,
my red flag. I haven't gotten my flag yet. My
I
red
got it.
flag is Frontier seats. Those things are so bad
No,
because
it's like if you tried to jam a 6'2" person into the back of like I don't think there's a back in a smart car, but if there was, that would be the equivalent of flying Frontier.
it, abs 100% because I always get like cramps. Like I don't have any musculature in my butt region, so like it's just like
None?
it's
0% musculature?
0%. So it's just like it's very very bony, and so I like
You're really selling yourself here. Keep going.
my 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 butt will be so sore on a Frontier flight, and it's just 2 hours, and that's fine. It's like how long we do these podcasts for about 2 hours, and like I'm perfectly fine sitting where I am here, but because I can like move my legs around and stretch, but on Frontier that's impossible. So on a 2-hour flight, and I'm trying to sleep most of the time, that's what I do on flights, no matter time of day. I like to take a little nappy nap on a flight. Absolute chaos. So
I
if
was
I
gonna
was,
ask you about that. I was gonna ask you about your viewpoint on sleeping on planes.
it's great. I freaking love it because it means that nobody talks to me. Please, another red flag. Don't freaking talk to your seat neighbor on flights. I don't care how nice they are.
It's not like
Shut up.
it's okay if you introduce yourself, but you have to use context clues to figure out whether that person wants to talk to you back for the duration of the flight.
I
You know
guess
what I
that's
mean?
true.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
that's
it's fine. You're like, "Hi, how are you?" Like, when you sit down, no big deal. But, like, if I, have a book or I have my headphones in or something and, like, I am not making direct eye contact with you, like, probably don't talk to me.
luckily I've
I
been
don't know.
pretty good on my flights and people don't want to talk to me, which is great. Like, because I'll do 9 times out of 10, I'll go to the back, I'll hang on the back, as we've previously spoken about. I'll get my window seat, and I will do this, and I'll go like I have my hat, and I will just like drape it down over my eyes, so people know that I'm trying to sleep. And it's great. Nobody talks to me. It's top notch.
Not a travel pillow guy?
No, I don't have one because, like I said, I don't do it that often. So
That's so fair. I think sleeping on planes is kind of a fun experience because it's, like, the closest that we have to teleporting in real life, like, if you think about it, like, you go
hmm
to sleep, you could just wake up in a different time zone depending on, like,
right.
how long you sleep. I think some of my best sleeps have been had on a plane for that reason because, like, sometimes you're just exhausted when you get on there.
hmm
One of my best sleeps ever was on a plane, and when I, like, can't sleep at night in my bed, I think about this sleep, like, so often because it was one of my best sleeps ever, I swear to God. But I was in the middle seat next to these 2 random people, on a hockey trip because we were, like, Delta or JetBlue or something that, like, does seating assignments, and I got a middle seat because that was just, like, what they had. Um, but anyway, I got stuck in the middle on that flight, and they have, like, movies on some of those planes that are, like, built into the seat rest, so it was one of those with, like, a little entertainment system. Um, and I Captain Marvel had just come out, so this was, like, a handful of years ago, and the guy next to me, I think, like, thought that I was a true psychopath because I hit play on that movie, watched it for a little bit, fell asleep, but then because I had seen it so many times at that point, I, like, remembered what part of the movie I fell asleep at, and I woke up sometime later and just rewound it to that part and then watched it the rest of the way through, and he was like, "Is this person okay?" That was really rough, but it's like, you start to, like, get a little bit drowsy, there's, like, a little bit of turbulence, like, not a lot of turbulence, I'm not trying to be dropping out of the sky, but just, like, a little bit that's like sleeping in a car, sleeping on a bus, it's just that
hmm
little, like, vibration just puts you to sleep, knocks
Yeah.
you
See,
out.
I'm very jealous of you because I'm a shitty sleeper. Like, I have a
Yeah.
hard time getting to sleep pretty much anywhere. Even in my own damn bed, sometimes I can't fall asleep at night. So most of the time, I don't actually fall asleep while flying, but I'll just like rest my eyes and like relax, and it's great. I don't have to fall asleep, and then by the time I'm done, like I've kind of like had my like in and out 20-minute nap or whatever, top, and then we're good to go.
Good to go. Let's talk about let's talk about people that should not be allowed to travel. Do you have any hot takes with airport security, with people at the airport,
I
anything of
will.
the sort?
The main one for me is like the people who refuse to like follow directions from the TSA. I'm like, first of all, I'm actually here to defend the TSA. Okay, I will. That'll be my hot take. People cannot stand the TSA. They're just doing their jobs, man. They're they're just doing their job. That's all they're trying to do. And you can make their job a lot easier if you just do exactly what they tell you. Okay. And
Correct.
then you breeze through and it's over in 5 minutes. But the people who pitch a fit at them, you're not doing people any favors. And there are people who do that. We've both seen it, I'm sure. People who pitch a fit. Like, what do you mean I can't do such and such? Shut up, put your stuff where it's supposed to go, and
Yeah.
move
No,
on with
no.
your day.
No, no. If I go to the airport, TSA is a competition and I will be winning. Okay? I want you to treat TSA like a competition. If you've flown before, I expect you to know the rules. and I expect you to try and beat me. No one's successfully beaten me. I'm egotistical enough to like compare myself to the people in front and behind me at the airport, and I'm like, I'm gonna get through with more efficiency than that guy. That's just my like, I don't know, maybe that's my personal red flag, but I'm like, no, TSA is a war and I will be winning. Um, the biggest thing for me at airport security is strollers.
Hmm.
It's mostly me beefing with strollers. I like had a little talking point in here, which thank you for reminding me to move my notes over here. Um, I had a talking point written down and it was like why you shouldn't bring your child to the airport. And then I was like reconsidering that cuz I'm like, well, sometimes that's unavoidable, but I like did some deep introspection here. I was like, why did I write that down? And I think it's just me beefing with strollers. Like if you have a stroller, if you're at the airport, if you're at a theme park, wherever it may be, know how to take it apart and know how to do it quickly. Because if you're getting, I don't know why the gestures keep doing that. For the,
What
okay,
just
the, no,
what
no, no.
was
Okay.
that?
For the people at home, if you make a
What
peace
just
sign,
happened?
if you're using your iPhone as your camera and you make a peace sign, it sends balloons. Okay. And it really just it interrupted my really serious monologue here.
I have to mute my mic because this is too funny.
It also does no, it also does if you make a thumbs up, it sometimes sends sends a little thumbs up. If you
Mine
make a
doesn't
thumbs
do that. How come
down,
mine doesn't do that?
'cause I think it's 'cause I'm using my iPhone as a camera, and it's, like, built into the camera app. Sometimes if you do this, it does, like, a heart too. Yeah. Ask me how I know is because I did that to my parents on FaceTime, and everyone was like, "Where are the balloons coming from?" It was like we were being raided or something, but
Sorry to the audio folks who are listening, have no idea what we're cackling at.
yeah, maybe I don't know. We'll definitely have to clip that somewhere so that the audio folks can experience it too. But yeah, no, that it's me beefing with strollers. If you have a stroller, know how to take it apart. I and I think this is just a general law that's like you know how like when you wash your car, it's gonna rain. Like that's just a law of nature. Like as soon as you think about it, you're like I should probably get a car wash, and then you do it, and then it's gonna rain. That's like a universal certainty. Um, if you have a screaming child on your flight, they will find a way to sit next to you, or at least like within earshot. And I think that's just a thing that happens. But like, why can't it ever be the people that bring dogs in bags? I want the dog in a bag to sit next to me. I don't want your screaming 2-year-old to sit next to me. I'm trying to enjoy my moment of peace and quiet on an airplane. I'm
I
so
did there.
old. I'm so crotchety. That's such a like get off my lawn stance.
That's totally okay because I don't think you're inherently wrong about anything you just said. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't bother me at all, because I understand why it would annoy the crap out of you. I saw there was a viral tweet I saw this week where somebody was talking about how they're on a flight and somebody had brought their cat with them, and they put the
Okay.
cat in the carrier, and somehow the cat got out, figured a way to get
Yes.
out of the
Jailbird.
carrier, and so
Yes.
the cat just got loose on the plane.
Oh my god. Was no, was this the one where the flight attendant, like, had the cat and it was like, "Whose cat is this?"
I think you might be right. Yeah, I think
I think we're talking about the same event, but that is hysterical to me. I think we should do that. I think we should do that. There should be certain flights where you're allowed to bring your pet in a carrier and just let them loose and, like, snakes on a plane. Just see what happens.
I would, I would love that. That would be great
I'm
because it would make
I'm an
things
agent
so
of
much more
chaos.
fun.
Mhm.
So much
I
more
think
fun.
I'm just an agent of chaos about that.
Can I tell my one run-in I had with TSA story?
Please do.
Okay, so very simple story. But I was flying to Vegas for SEMA several years ago, and I was with a couple of my co-hosts on Kenny and Crash at the time, and I go through like a normal. I do the body scan, right? And they go, okay, you know how they always tell you like, hang on, wait, right?
Yeah.
Wait, and then they tell you to go.
Right.
This time
Right?
they told me to wait, and they didn't tell me to go because then they pointed to the screen, and there was red dot, red dot, right on my crotch, and I was like, no, no.
Oh no, that's the kiss of death right there. You're like, oh
I
god.
was like, what is happening? And so they were like, okay, we have to pat you down. So I was like, and I think they were like, do you want to go do this over here or like behind the screen or whatever? I was like, I don't care.
Right.
So they just like patted me down
Mm-hmm.
right in front of the screen in front of everybody. And my co-hosts were cackling at me the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
It
I
was
had a
also
similar
Yeah,
thing
it was
happen. Go.
also on that same trip where they tried to sneak. Somehow this happened. I have no idea. I think this was on my way back from Vegas. Where when I wasn't looking, they managed to sneak a bottle of lube into my bag.
You didn't know that it was there.
Did not know it was in there,
Good.
and and somehow it got by the TSA, and so I didn't get dinged for it. I only found out when I got back home and opened my bag that this was in here. I was like, "You bastards!"
TSA was too embarrassed to take it out is probably just the reason. It's what happens in Vegas.
Exactly.
I had a similar experience. This is a story relating to our dear good friend Matt Schott. When I was traveling my sophomore year with the team, which I think is the year that he was one of the assistant coaches that year. And it was Omaha, Nebraska, of all places, because we had to go to Nebraska to play.
Nebraska.
Must have been Midland, Nebraska. Um, that's another inside joke for the pod, but anyway, we had to go. I think it has to have been Midland because that's the only university I can think of in Nebraska that we ever played. And the same thing happened to me. It was I was wearing, you know, the Adidas like jogger pants. Like I'm consistent. The gesture again. I'm I'm consistently wearing. Yeah. Hold on. Okay. Compose yourself. Etiquette. Compose yourself.
I'm gonna make a compilation of all the times the gesture shows up
That
on your
happened once.
camera.
That happened once last week too, so we can add to that. But I was wearing those Adidas jogger pants, and they have zippers for the pockets, which is like really nice because if you put a credit card in there or something, like it won't fall out, or your keys or whatever it is. You probably need those for the amount of times you lose your keys. Anyway, the zippers, if you leave them unzipped, which I didn't realize, they'll flag the body scanner. Because it like shows as an object or something. But if you zip them, which is what TSA told me, but if you zip them, it doesn't do that. So now I remember to zip them up. But at the time, I didn't know that, and I had both of them down because obviously there's nothing in my pockets, and I had both of them down. And they had to give me a whole pat down of that region. And same thing, I was like, I don't need to go behind a screen, whatever. What I didn't realize is that Matt had just gone through security and he was sitting at the end, like waiting for all of us, just like in case something happened. I don't know. Maybe he was just like stranded and wanted to chill out for a little bit. It's a really small airport in Omaha. And so he got to witness the whole thing. And I made like direct eye contact with him while I was getting patted down this whole time. And I was like, I am so sorry. I can't. This is a thing that you might forget, but I personally am never going to forget because I'm so mortified by this happening. But how are you? Like, so sorry you had to see that.
We should put up on our Instagram, our social media, and ask for people's PSA horror stories because I feel like everybody.
We would probably get some. I'm sure I could pull my teammates and find some weird stuff because we had some weird things happen to us over my 4 years that I was there. I'll say before I transition us because I want you to talk about concert etiquette because I know you feel very strongly about that.
Yes.
The thing that you should never ever do, just like bringing Watergate salad to the function, the thing you should never ever do. Don't look me in my eyes, video listeners, look me in my eyes. Wear socks with your shoes. If you know you have to go through security, wear socks. Do not be bare feet, dogs out on the airport floor. Don't.
Don't. Disgusting.
No, but people do it. People do it. I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it too much. Like, it's actually like a trauma response at this point.
I
Anyway,
don't. Yeah, people are
that's what
weird,
it is.
man. That's I think that's what we've all learned at
People are so
airports,
weird.
in public spaces. People are just weird.
People
And
are weird.
I'd say the same thing about people going to concerts.
People at
Transition,
concerts are
baby.
weird. Good transition.
Transition.
Good transition.
Because we're pros on this show.
We're getting so
So
this is our 3rd episode, we're getting so good at this.
nailing it, folks. Nailing it. Both between the two of us, both of us attend a decent amount of shows every year. And in our time going to shows across the course of our lives, we have picked up our own, like, kind of standards on how best to experience a show and like what to do and go into a show and how best to enjoy it for yourself and how not to get in the way of the others. And so, like, this is one of my, I actually asked this question on Twitter about a year ago, and people reply. I'll see if I can find it in just a second, which is like things that people do at concerts that piss you off, that are red flags. And I swear more and more this happens at shows now, because this is my big theory, okay? And I think I brought this up to you before, which is this did not happen pre-COVID. I swear, once people got out of their house after COVID, etiquette just everywhere, whether it's at
Yeah, I
sporting
was
events,
gonna say, I think
concerts.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has literally just evaporated. Like, people just do not care anymore about being in public and how to act in public. So that's PSA number one. Like,
I'm so glad you went on that direction too, because that makes me seem like less of a crotchety old man for the rant that I went on about airplanes. So now we're both crotchety old men. Keep
I
going.
agree. I've become
Keep
such
going.
an old person at concerts now, to be honest. And like
It's
the
true.
main reason why, and I think the best, like one of the best examples of this in terms of how people act at concerts now is actually, I'm going to bring up something that happened to both of us because it was at the same show. We went to go see Coin last year here in Phoenix. Great show. They're an awesome band. If you get to see them when they come to your town, go see them live. Can't wait for
Go
their
to,
new
go
music.
to a different town to see them. It's worth it.
Yes, exactly. And there were two things that happened during this show that are like prime examples of what not to do. What not to do. So the first one is, let's see if these are those same ones that when I say these two things, we've talked about them on multiple occasions. You should know what it is. The first thing is Jordan and I get there early. We're pretty close to the front, near barricade, within like 2 or 3 people of the barricade ish.
We were like 2nd row, and I feel like it's also important to disclaim this because it was Arizona in July. We didn't get
Yes.
there super early. We got there like, I don't know, 2-ish hours, maybe an hour and a half ahead of doors. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it was not a lot. We're not stupid. We didn't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I think this was like during the maybe during the opening act, I think, more so than anything else. But we had these two clearly teenage girls to the right of us. And all they did for the entire like set that I was like where they were in my viewpoint, all they were doing, this is for our video people, I kid you not, their phone must have been full of about 600 pictures and did not have any more space left, because all they were doing was just doing this. And I think it was 2 or 3 of them. And they were just taking selfies from different angles the entire G-dang freaking show. And I
Mhm.
was like, I don't know if I mentioned it to you like during, I think we talked about it afterwards, but I was like, why, what are you doing? Like, why are you even here? Are you just here for Instagram pictures, or are you here to enjoy the show? And I was like, oh dear Lord, Jesus Baker,
Yeah,
please help us,
that's so rough. If you go to a show, please don't make it about yourself being in the audience. I think my view on that has also evolved as I've become more of a crotchety old man, as like people don't people don't really want to see all of your concert videos. Like, you can take a few and you can post like a few, but don't post the whole concert on social media cuz I'm not going to watch that. It's fine. Like, I'm really glad you had a great time. Don't make it about you. Don't post the whole thing on social media. Be there to be there and be present and love the live music and love the experience, cuz that's what matters. Thank you.
That's my, that was, and I addendum to that, my biggest red flag at shows is people who have their phones out the entire time. Sorry, I don't mean to cuss. This is a family show, for
This
goodness
is a
sake.
family-friendly podcast. You're gonna have to censor that.
Yep, we'll bleep that out. We'll bleep that out in post.
Do I
If
have
I
to
remember
mark
to do
this
so.
as explicit? I'm not doing
Probably,
that.
yeah, with the one
I'm not
F bomb.
doing that.
Actually, you know what's funny? We were talking about this the other day. My friends and I, we were talking about movies, and we were talking about how movies are rated now, and we were
Mhm.
talking about F bombs and how like
Yeah,
you can only use.
what's the minimum for an
Yeah,
R-rated?
yeah, I think you can only get one F bomb in a movie, as referenced by Guardians of the Galaxy, which had the
So
first
is
F
the
bomb.
Eras Tour rated R?
No, I don't know. It's PG-13, I think.
Yeah, but there's definitely more than one F-bomb in that.
Good. That's yeah. We'll have to look into that. We'll send that to our crack
That's
staff
research.
to look into that. So we were
Our
talking
legal department.
exactly. So we were talking about like profanity in movies and such.
Mhm.
Um, that's a complete digression. But anyway,
I'm not marking this as explicit. That's too much work. Go ahead.
back on track. Back on track to concerts. Like I cannot. I used to take more videos at concerts than I do now. But
Mhm.
as I've gotten older, I've gone to so many shows now that like I don't need to take pictures or video at shows. If I do, it's like 2 or 3 times maybe, and that's about it. Like if there's something cool or a song I really like, whatever, to make sure, especially for local shows, more so than not, because um, I think it's cool to like shout out local music, and so like that's how they get noticed, right? Is if you
Yeah.
take
Also,
photos or pictures at it.
great shirt for that. Shouting out
Yeah.
local music. We're Good Boy Daisy fans on this podcast.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Perfect transition. Perfect transition. So yeah, don't keep your phones away at shows, man. Like it's just not fun to go to especially a standing room show and all you see
Oh yeah.
is just this.
GA, if somebody's phone is in front of me the whole time taking flash pictures, I'm over it.
So shout out to Phoebe Bridgers, who did this pretty much the entirety of the Boy Genius tour, where she has one song where she asked people to put their phones away, and I went to two Boy Genius shows on their tour, and both times people are actually pretty respectful and they put their phones away, and that was a very bonding moment.
I actually think that the etiquette at that show was better than the etiquette at
great.
the Coin show, and I would argue that that fan base for Boy Genius is more like somewhat more casual but definitely more online than the Coin fan base. I would argue. So like I would expect those things to be reversed, but they did a really good job. I don't know if this is the other point that you were going to make is concert etiquette is VIP for concerts. I don't want to step on your toes with this.
Oh
point,
no! Go ahead. Go first because I'll mention the second part in a second. But go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. VIP for concerts. I get it. I do. I get it. Like, but it's very isolating to have people that can pay for VIP, get early entry, even though they don't necessarily care as much about the band or the music, or I don't even know if I can argue it that way, but it's like, if you pay for VIP and you get early entry, you should at least know some of the songs beyond whatever goes on the radio top 40. And this is a thing that happened at the Coin show with us too, is you're probably the second row, I think. Like we were fairly close. But the VIP row was on the barricade, obviously, because they get early entry. And there were some people with, proudly wearing their little lanyard with like all of their exclusive merch that were in the front row that did not know the words. And it's fine. Like if you're the kind of person that doesn't sing at a concert, that's okay. But I expect you to like have a little bit of energy if you're going to like take the time, be in the front row, be on the barricade, because you got to lead that for the people behind you. Like you set the tone. You set the tone for a really good pit if you're on barricade. So if you're like kind of only halfway committed to it, don't do it. Anyway,
yes, 100% agree. Yes, actually, you know what's funny? The two girls who were doing the pictures were they not VIP too? That was part of the reason like why it pissed us both off.
I think they were, and they were taking flash Snapchats the whole time of themselves, and it's really awkward too because like when your front flash goes off on Snapchat, it's just a white screen because it like lights you up. You know what I mean? And so like I would be was like staring at the set, like trying to watch, and then all of a sudden it would just be this big white square. I'm like, whoa. Well, I feel like like Men in Black when they have that like the pen thing that does the flash, that gesture. When they have the pen thing that does the what is it? It's like amnesia with
Yeah.
the it's like a flashbang. It's like
Hmm.
Call of Duty
Yeah. The
flashbang.
uh,
Um,
I forget what it's called. I haven't
I
seen
don't
that
know what
movie
it's
in
called, but
forever.
it's true. It was like getting flashbanged by these girls that were taking Snapchats the whole time. I was like, wait, I have spots in my vision now. This is not so great.
The other thing that is people who will rush for if it's a GA show or you're in the pit,
Mhm.
like people who will rush past you to try and get by, like, dude, chill out, come on. It's not
I'm
a
okay with
We're
that
not
to a certain
animals.
extent. Yeah, it's like to a certain extent, I'm okay with that. Don't run because you'll hurt each other. Don't run, and don't like throw elbows or like physically bump other people. But I would rather there be like one kind of large crush when everybody gets into the venue and gets all set up and gets their spots than the people that do this. This is my biggest red flag for concerts. The people that will walk up to you and squeeze through you and be like, "Excuse me, sorry, my friend's at the front." Plan
Hmm.
better. Your friend is not like we've all been there, we've all seen that, we all know that trick. Plan better. Don't leave your friend at the front if your goal is to get to the front. It's like being on a plane. Pee before you go in. Don't separate. If you separate, tell someone. Tell somebody at the front, be like, "Hey, I got to go for a minute. I'm going to be right back." So that way people around you aren't like miffed when you just like show up out of nowhere and end up at the barricade because you're like, "Excuse me, my friend's at the front." Don't do that.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
that's my biggest pet
Before
peeve,
we
especially with shows that require waiting in line to get to the
hmm
front.
before we move on to our last two things, we're actually doing really good on time. This is great, and so we'll probably ramble on for 15 more minutes.
Right, we're gonna
Uh,
derail it
yes,
right at the end.
yeah. So let me go to. I actually found my tweet from. Oh, this was back in May. I thought this was. But let me run through some of the answers to my question about pet peeves at concerts. Somebody
Please do it.
said anybody with a beer in the mosh pit. I can see that. I can see
Yeah, I
that.
can see that. If you're not responsible with it,
Hmm. Let's see. A lot of people are saying the phones thing. That seems to be like
mhm.
the big one. Somebody said replied and said country music.
I guess that's very pointed at country music. The biggest red flag about a concert is that it's country, I guess. Certain
It's.
kinds of country.
I'm gonna make one exception. I said this in the reply to this, and I said it, which is the only exception I will make to country music being good live is Chris Stapleton, who I've seen live before, and he is great. He is
Alright.
so good, so good.
I can allow it.
Squirrel, yeah,
Chris Stapleton almost accidentally made it on my Spotify Wrapped because I've listened to "I Bet You Think About
yeah,
Me"
yeah,
from
yeah.
the Red Vault a lot,
Hmm.
and I was, like, horrified by some of my artists that was coming up, and I was like, "Why is Chris Stapleton in there?"
Spoiler
Nothing
alert!
against
Spoiler.
him.
Our next episode is gonna be like a best of list, and Chris Stapleton might get another mention. I'm just gonna throw
Alright.
that out there.
We have some
All right.
love for Chris Stapleton.
The official podcast of Boy Genius and Chris Stapleton.
That I don't know, that's such a weird combination. I don't think we can market that. There's not enough of a niche for that.
Let's see what else we got here. We have people who stand the whole time and sign waivers. I ran into
Signs.
sign guy at a 21 Pilot show. Actually, there was
Wow.
somebody in front of us who was, dude, put your sign down. No.
Yeah. Signs are Signs are okay for people that are if it's like a stadium tour, if you're like lower bowl, first row to the point where you can like hang your sign
Hang it
like over
over.
the
Yeah.
railing. Same thing with barricade, I guess. If you hang it over
Hmm.
instead of like holding it up above your head, like for you that might fly. For me, then I just get to stare at the back of your sign the whole time,
Yeah.
which like is not ideal. And if you're gonna bring it, you can bring like a sheet of paper. If it's like a fan project or something, like bring like a sheet of paper, hold it up for your moment that you're gonna hold it up, and then put it back down.
Hmm.
That's okay.
Hmm.
Don't bring your giant school project poster board and hold it up the entire time, or I'm gonna have a fit.
Do you remember the night of the Boy Genius tour where Lucy was in the middle of, I think, Leonard Cohen, as was typically the case. And
It's
she was
always Leonard Cohen. It's always Leonard
somebody
Cohen.
somebody just kept, she was like, oh, somebody keeps holding up a sign that says that's gay.
During, like and it was, like, often during that song, and it made her break, and she was like, "Listen, I know that a lot of things about this song are a little bit gay, but you can't keep holding that up or I'm gonna break and not be able to finish this song." And that was the night too where she, like, uh she was doing there's a very quick chord progression in here, which, like, if you've ever listened to the song or you've tried to play it, like, heaven forbid, I am unable to do it. And it always is the part that takes out Lucy. And there was a streak of shows where she kept messing up that part, and she got to that part, and you could tell she was thinking real hard about it and got through some of it, and then ended up in the middle, hit a wrong thing or went to the wrong chord and said, "Damn," in the middle of the progression, and then just went back to playing. And we all just acknowledged it. We were like, "Yep, Leonard Cohen." I think at that point it was like 5, Lucy
Mm-hmm.
0, because we started keeping track
Yeah.
just loosely. She did make some points back toward the end though.
Mm-hmm.
I think the grand total was maybe like 7-2 or something for the shows that we were keeping track of. So
Right.
it was kind of rough.
I mean, to be fair, they toured for like 6 months. I don't know how many shows overall they did, but they did a lot of shows. So the fact that she only messed it up 7 times, actually a pretty good percentage.
Yeah, that's a solid shooting percentage.
All
Efficiency
right,
is good.
we have 10 minutes left in the show. I think we can get through our last 2 things in 10 minutes if we make them quick.
I
So
think we can do it.
let's do a quick stump your co-host. Now this segment is where, as I teased earlier on, Jordan and I each have a question for each other, and we try to stump our co-host. You'll maybe learn something about us in the process. Maybe you won't. So I will go first. I will go first. And this, actually, I don't know if this will be easy or not, because I don't think I've ever brought it up to you. But we're gonna find out. And I have.
If you have, it's just gonna model my goldfish brain because I don't remember.
Actually, I don't even know if how many people, if I were to ask them this question, if they would know.
This isn't public. Oh God, you're stacking the cards against me here. This isn't even public knowledge.
Well, it's no, kind of. If you look in the right place.
Oh God. All right.
Okay. Do you know which high school I went to?
Oh my God. Can you at least give me the region?
Yes, it's in Surprise. I was the first ever graduating class of this particular high school.
Surprise is called Surprise because no one should live there.
Hey, I lived there for 20 years. It's perfectly fine.
It's so far from everything, and that's just my North Phoenix bias, I think. But oh no, I'm trying to think about what's even out there. No, I don't.
There are a total of 4 high schools in Surprise, I think, right now.
Oh no.
I have my years up here. I'm trying to find this particular picture.
What is the no? Hold on. What's the school that's? Because I'm trying to think. Because I think I had a kid on my high school team who was from Surprise that played for us, and the school colors were like purple and white, and it was like mountain something. Did I get that?
No, you were close, actually.
Okay. No, that's the only reason I think I know that. But go ahead, tell the audience. Dox yourself.
Yep, here we go. Name of the school is Valley Vista in Surprise.
Okay.
I was the first graduating class, but it just gave me an excuse to show this picture to the people. I should have actually taken a picture of this so I can actually show it. But
you can take it. We can post it later.
There is a picture of me as a senior in high school at a girls basketball semifinal game at jobbing.com arena. We all ditched school to go to this game.
Formerly jobbing.com. Wow. Fantastic. Yeah. This is for the audio listeners. We'll post it, I'm sure, but it's a picture of Richie. It's a picture of Richie who is shirtless with
I was so skinny back then.
with letters painted on. There was a lot of people with the team. What is that? Your mascot? Your team mascot painted.
Monsoon.
Yeah. That's actually a good one, I'll say. It's very Arizona specific.
We all hated it. Like, we made fun of it consistently because we thought it was so stupid.
Yeah, but it like the alliteration of it makes sense.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. All right, I'm with it. What was my question? My question was gonna be, I guess I have two because I didn't plan for this, but I will say, do you have any idea what year and or what tour, because you have to be more specific than just the artist, was my first concert? Since we're on the music topic.
Uh-huh. Okay, I think you had to have brought this up to me before, damn it. All right, I'm going to go I'm going to pick 21 Pilots. I think the name of the tour was it Emotional Roadshow? Was that the name of the tour?
I did go to that show, but that wasn't my first show.
Damn it.
That wasn't. I've been to, at this point, oh god, I've been to 7 21 Pilot shows at this point. Cuz I've been to we went to the End of Blurry Face tour in 2015. That was in like October 2015. We did Emotional Roadshow when it came back in 2016. And then we did three did we do 4? No, we did 3 shows of the Bandito tour. Was it Bandito tour or was it, what did they end up calling it the second time around? But either way, yeah, I've been to 7 Pilot shows. But my first show was in 2013, I believe, and it was the Lady Gaga Born This Way ball tour. At, what was it even called back then? US Airways Center, which is Footprint Center downtown now. Yeah, downtown Phoenix. And my mom had to wait outside because it was my cousin Carly and I that went. It was like a Christmas gift, and I took my cousin. My mom waited outside to pick us up after the concert because I would have been like, I don't know, 15 years old or something. Like, I couldn't drive myself.
I did not know that. So there we go. We both learned something today. I like that.
Good. You learn something new every day.
Yep. All right. So that is the first ever edition of Stump Your Co-host. We both lost. I'm going to keep track of this, and then we're going to
I think we should.
Somewhere. I don't know where. And I have my notes here, and we'll keep track. And by the, I don't know, and we'll keep track of points. Whoever earns the most points gets a prize of some sort.
The prize is that you have a brain and not early onset Alzheimer's or what's the other one when you forget? You just don't have amnesia is all. Yeah. You remember things that people tell you.
All right, we have 5 minutes left. That's the perfect amount of time to get to our One Brain Cell Award. This is our weekly award where we talk about things that happened to us during the week that made us feel like we had just one brain cell. Who should go first? I don't remember who went first in the last show. So
I don't either.
You go first. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go first. I hate that I'm gonna become known for this, but I am yet again gonna talk about my crock pot. I hate that that's a thing now.
So much so, folks, that if I see, and for some reason I have TikToks of crockpot showing up on my TikTok account now in my feed, I will send them to Jordan because she's my official like TikTok or my official crockpot person that I think of. I'm a crockpot video.
Would it be called Crock Talk or would it be called Tick Crock?
Tick Crock.
Crock Talk flows so much better.
I love
Crock Talk flows so much better. Personally. Okay. Anyway, this is my crock moment of the week. Is that we have alternating schedules at work, and so like sometimes I have more time in the afternoon than others, and I had the earlier day at work this week, and so I got home I get done at 3. I get to go to the grocery store, get home, which is like really great for this time of year because it gets dark at like 4:30, like 5 o'clock with daylight savings, which is too much because it's like pitch black at 5 o'clock. But I got done a little bit earlier, and so I was like, I have time. I can set this whole thing up, and I can put it on low. Because usually with like a meat dish, you have to like let it cook on low for like 4 to 6 hours, or it's like high for 2 to 3 is like generally the benchmark, depending on your slow cooker. And it just tastes better if you cook it on low for longer, which like I feel like is generally true. That's like it's like a food thing. So I was like, I have a little bit extra time. I can just put this on low and let it sit and like see what happens. It's like, this is gonna be great. So I got everything in there, got it all made, put it on low, and left and like did other stuff for like an hour because I have a lot of things to do. I'm a very busy person. And I went back like an hour later and I was like, I'm just gonna get a status check, like see how it's doing, see if it's like starting to, bubble up or whatever it is. When I tell you it was freezing cold, crockpot was freezing cold. I like put my hand on the lid and it was icy. I was like, what is happening?
No.
I never plugged it in. So it was sitting it was sitting on low on the counter for an hour. And the only thing that was happening is that the chicken was coming to room temperature. And I was like, well, I wonder if this is still food safe to eat. I like contemplated not going through with it. But I was like, it'll probably be fine. It probably won't kill me. So I plugged it in, I put it on high, cooked it for another couple of hours, and I ate it. And so far I haven't died. So if I do, just know that that's what killed me. And I did not go out doing something I loved. Thank you.
All right, let's. I'm gonna give that a rate. I'm gonna start giving. We need to start giving these ratings on like
Okay.
I don't know, brain cell scale or something, which is like 0 to 5, basically.
Okay, so 0 is like the dumbest
0
thing
is like
you've
the
ever done?
dumbest possible thing.
Okay,
5 is actually like it's not that bad.
right.
I feel like everybody's done this where they forget to turn something on or forget to plug it in. So this is like a very normal thing for people to have happen. But you do feel dumb right afterwards. So I'm gonna put this right in the middle. I'm gonna give it 2.5.
All right, that feels fair. It's not the worst thing I've ever done, but it's not the smartest thing I've ever done.
All
All
right,
right, tell the people.
So I think Jordan and I probably have some form of undiagnosed ADHD, as a lot of people I'm sure do, because yeah, we all do this. I was doing my laundry this week, and over the past like couple weeks, my clothes haven't been drying on the first go after an hour. I'm like, why does this keep happening to me? Why aren't my clothes drying? Like, I don't put a crap ton in there. Like, it's like a normal amount. So I'm like, okay, why aren't my clothes drying? Why do I have to run this twice? This is stupid. Now, I did not know this until I moved out of my parents' house for the first time and got my own apartment with our friend Kat. And Kat would get on my ass all the time about doing this. And apparently I still do it after being away for a year and a half, which is I always forget that you have to take out the I don't even know what it's called.
The lint trap, the lint filter.
Yeah, yes.
I was always, like, I hope this is not going where I think it's going.
I always forget to do that. And I don't think I've done this in 6 months plus. Maybe even a year. I don't know.
Oh
but I was like, you know what I haven't done? I forgot to do this. So I'm lucky my apartment hasn't caught on fire.
No kidding. You are the poster child for the fire department right now. They're like, oh my God, we got to get this guy to talk to the kids because his apartment is going to burn down. Richard. That would have literally been my very first troubleshooting thing that I would tell you to do. Like when you call IT and you're like, why is my computer doing this? Turn it on and off. If your dryer is not drying, check the lint filter. Check. Red flag. Red flag. Brain cell red flag.
The fact that I did not know this even existed because
could you did you not find it? Like, what's the deal?
Well, no. Like prior to moving, like I never dealt with it at my parents' house because my parents would do it, and they never were like, "Hey, Richie, you need to make sure you do this right before, like double check it sometimes." So I would obviously like when I was an actual adult, I would actually wash my own clothes like a adult, and I would do my own laundry, but I would never deal with the lint stuff. Nobody ever told me where it was on our dryer at the time, so I had no idea. So it was like I said, it was Kat. Shout out Kat for being the person to actually tell me about this in the first place. And even though she has told me she told me, I swear, like every couple of months, she'd be like, "Richie, you need to stop. We need to clean the damn thing." Still do it. We'll continue to do it because it's like one of the lowest things on my list.
Real adult cat giving advice here, giving pro-life advice. Yeah, I gotta give that a solid 1. That's a fix it yourself kind of deal. I can't give you any kind of credit for that. I'm so sorry. That scores very low on the list of things that I would give points for.
All right. Well, I'm the winner this week, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, of the.
Can I also I can give us both points though because our elapsed time is like pretty much exactly an hour this week.
It's exactly an hour because we for the first 2 minutes, so we're good. I think. Damn it! I just dropped another.
Richard.
Gotta put
I'm whatever. I'm not.
Here.
I'm not marking this as explicit. Whatever. You can deal with it. You can deal with it.
Don't. All right, everybody. Follow us on all of your social media platforms if we still exist and haven't been canceled by next week. At OHOBC Pod, everywhere you can find us. We're on Apple and Spotify on your podcast feed, and we're on YouTube, of course, if you're watching us. Hi, everybody. Jordan, before we go, can you give one more gesture for the people at home?
Oh, yeah. Don't even worry. It would be my pleasure.
There it is. Good night, everybody.